Yo, what's up guys? Jason Ma the Magician, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you one of the best card routines you'll learn on the YouTubes. The best thing about this trick is that it uses a completely regular pack of cards. No gimmicks, baby! No gimmicks. Of course, it does require a little bit of sleight of hand, and with a little practice you'll be doing it in absolutely no time. I believe in you. Alright, so for this trick I have a regular deck of playing cards, and I'm just going to get a card selected at random. In this case, it's the Queen of Hearts. That's going to be left sticking out of the center of the deck so you can keep your eyes on it. In fact, your spectator can actually push it directly flush with the rest of the deck. Now from here I'm going to grab out a random card. Hopefully it's not the Queen of Hearts, in this case the Seven of Spades, and all you have to do is watch close. If I give this card just a little rub like so, it doesn't take much, but a little tiny rub, and it will actually change into the Queen of Hearts, and that is definitely going to be worthy of a like and share. Trust me, I know. How cool is that, man? It's like super visual, and your spectator will be convinced that they put that card in the middle. It's crazy, man. Now, before we dive into the tutorial, make sure that you smash like if you haven't already, and subscribe. With all of your contributions to the channel, I could become the next big YouTube sensation or something. Maybe I'll get a golden play button, I have no idea. Anyway, without any further ado, let's take a look at the tutorial. Now, to make it super easy for you to understand, I'm going to break it up into just 3 parts. First, we have the control, secondly, the color change, and lastly, we'll piece it all together to show you how to put it into a nice cohesive routine. So grab your cards and join me in tutorial view. Alright, so up first is the control, and truthfully this is the most difficult part of the whole trick, but I don't think you'll have any problems learning how to do it. The control by itself looks like this. You get a card selected, in this case the 3 of diamonds. That's going to be left sticking out of the center of the deck. It all looks very fair, and once it's pushed flush, I will have controlled that card directly to the bottom. Isn't that just like a thing of beauty, man? Now to do this is actually super easy. It's barely even an inconvenience. I love that channel. So for this, when you get a card selected, they can touch a card, you're then going to slide another card directly on top of it. You're going to want to align them as closely as possible so that you're holding 2 cards as if they were 1 card, yeah? And it happens in a moment's notice. So they touch a card, they touch the card, you line it up, you show them the card, and now you're ready for the next phase, which is when you bring the card back here, you leave it above the bottommost packet, and with your fingers here, I'm going to slide that queen across. Yeah, so I slide it across underneath, and then I push this card forward like so. This will mean that the card is now separated underneath, and from here I just push all of these, feeding them underneath the queen. Now this is an oversimplification, but that is essentially what's happening. Now to make sure that you have this super easy is if you hold the deck like this so you can spread evenly. You can see I'm holding it with my pinky at the back, pointer at the front, 2 fingers here and thumb along this edge. The thumb threads the cards across as they feed into this hand here. Once I get the cards selected, my fingers are going to contact the card that's going to go directly on top of their selection. So if this is their selection, the 8 of diamonds, I'm contacting this card, I'm sliding it directly in place. Thumb holding this here, I slide it in place. Once it's neatly aligned, these fingers recontact, holding them against the top cards, and also the fingers underneath, holding that nice neat double, and that's how I show them the card. Now truthfully, it's nice if it's perfectly aligned, but if it even is slightly like unaligned, it doesn't actually matter. It's not a big deal, okay? Because this motion here will happen so quick that they're not even going to notice that you're actually doing any kind of switch, you know what I'm saying? So once you get the cards selected, you line them up. You're going to bring the cards here, I pull across, I pull this forward, and then I feed the cards underneath their selection, okay? And it just kind of looks like I'm showing them that they could have picked any of these cards. Close everything up neatly, and then you let them push the indifferent card in, and you will have controlled the card to the bottom, and it's freaking nuts. Now, I could spend more time trying to explain that to you, but I think that keeping it simple is going to make it easier for you to learn. If you have questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. But up next is the color change. Now, the color change is extremely old. It's called a classic color change, and essentially you're just going to be rubbing a card like this, and then it will change very visually. It's actually an extremely nice color change, and the good thing about it is that it's more or less angle proof. So no matter which way you're holding your hands, you can almost always completely cover up the change no matter what the angle is. It's always pretty tidy, which in itself is just awesome. Now in a nutshell, what's happening is that I'm pushing this card forward, and then the palm here is going to drag the card out from underneath until it clears, and then I place it on top. That is of course an extreme oversimplification. So to do it properly, this is what you want to do. Hold the cards neatly in a dealer's grip. That's 3 fingers along the edge, pointer at the front to stop the cards from sliding forward, and thumb resting along this edge here. Now with this hand here, as I turn it over, I have a natural curl to it, yeah? My pinky's going to contact the topmost corner, and as I turn the hand over, I actually open my hand up more. This will actually allow the card to slide forward as I'm turning my hand over, but it doesn't look like it from the front. It just looks like I'm covering that card, but actually I've slid it forward like a small amount, allowing me to slip this one out. So again, natural curve, contact the topmost corner with your pinky, and then as you turn over, you're straightening your hand out, bringing that card forward. Now, your palm is then going to contact here, and you want to drag this back, but you want to make sure that your finger is moved here so it still looks like the deck is still like this. So again, it's like you turn it over, your finger's now in position so it looks like nothing's happened. I then begin to slide the card out with my palm. I slide it out, and once it clears, I'm going to push this card back as I push this card forward. So now this card is realigned with the deck. So to really explain it, I'm pushing forward, I'm sliding this card back and then closing that gap immediately so that people never know that it was actually removed in the first place. Now with this card, I'm using the edge of the deck to hold it in my palm, okay? This also means I can naturally slide my hand around and wave it around. I can move it all along the deck because it'll be held in place thanks to the deck of cards in my palm. And when I'm ready to place it, I just align it with the topmost card. I like to open my fingers and get a nice visual wave like so, and it really does look like that card changes by magic. So once again, curl, straighten out your hand, pull the card back, realign the card with the rest of the deck, and then place it on top. And that right there is the classic color change. Oh boy, I hope you're still with me. I know it's tough, all right? Some of these moves, they're not super intuitive for a lot of people, but if you seriously just practice this while watching the TV, I guarantee you'll have it in no time. And if you show people this, it's a beautiful trick. It's one of those tricks that you can actually do repetitively and people won't catch you out for it because it's just so neat and tidy and pretty, just like you, eh? Now lastly, we tie everything together in a nice, neat little bow, and that is the routine. So for the routine, you want to start by getting the card selected. Have your spectator point to a card, you do the control, lining the card up, and you show them the card. From here, you execute the control as I taught you at the start, placing the card on the very bottom of the deck, and then let them push it in. It's better if you let them push it in because then it really feels impossible, especially because you can actually show fairly that you're not holding any marks or anything. Now from here, because the card is now on the bottom, what you're going to do is just grab a random card. I like to grab one closer to the top, or you can even let them pick a second card if you want. From here, you're going to show it to them. You're going to place that directly on the bottom of the deck. You can see I open my fingers up so I can just sort of feed it to the bottom and turn it over in that same motion. So now the indifferent card is on top of their selection. Now from here, you're going to explain that if you heat up your hand or you use heat or whatever you want to do, you can explain it however you want. It's just magic wave. You're then going to execute the change. So the change again, you're just going to push that card forward, slide it out the back, rotate around, and just sort of place it neatly on top. Once that's done, you're going to do something called neck tying. And neck tying is where when I go to give this card to them, I don't want to just pick it up like that because they'll see this card underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break at the wrist here and take the card like so. So you can see I'm turning it towards my body, pushing it off. And that way I can hand them this card and they can like look at it until their heart's content. And while they're looking at it, I'm just going to be like shuffling this, you know? And truthfully, that is the entire routine. That's it. That's the whole routine. Now, the beautiful thing about this routine is that it can be a standalone trick or you can add it into a more complex, elaborate, like multiple phase routine, which is just awesome. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I was going to make a whole vlog today, but it was raining all day. You can see it's wet over here in London. But I did promise that I was going to do this 365, and so by golly gosh, I'm doing it. I will do 365 days of magic, even if it takes me 7 years. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Big love. I'll see you tomorrow for day 149.
Call me Bucky, lucky that I'm innocent. If I didn't have no morals, I'd be menacing.